Hey everyone, it's Wolfran here, and we've got some interesting changes happening on the patch notes to Faction Wargames, which is the main focus of this. I don't do loads. I mean, I look at the patch notes obviously every week, but I only do the videos when I think there's something relatively interesting happening. This won't be very long. Um, Before I get to the other ones, we've got improved performance of the market order search system in Jita. Well, I don't actually know what that means, but any improvements to the system currently I find in the market, because I do a lot of market trading, uh, will help generally. So I think there are other things that can be done to help improve the market, including, for example, being able to look at an item's market from your orders, from my orders tab, would be really useful. Um, Added a portal to the insurance on the main interface. I think that's relatively. I mean, at the moment you just find it in stations. I'm sure you can find it some other way. I've not figured out how, but I suppose if you're being ganked and you haven't got enough IP, it might give you just enough time to buy the IP you need. But the really big changes about this video are the changes to faction war games. I've done a couple of videos on faction war games. I'm still grinding. I know others have got to level 4, rank 4. I've not done it yet. I've not had the time to commit to doing it. But so firstly, they're taking the velocity rigs off the interdictors. So what they've done is remove the warp speed boost to the interdictor frigates, to the inties and the assault frigates, so that it warpers quickly and increase the targeting. I don't think that's going to be an enormous change within the faction war games. I don't think the warp distances involved between the different points are such that that's going to give a particular advantage to any other ship. The second change, this absolutely right. Take this Higgs anchor off the destroyers. I mean, the destroyers aren't that great anyway. That's something we all know about destroyers. But the Higgs anchor was just an anchor. It just didn't work on the destroyers. It made what was, I don't think, a very good ship just pointless in faction war games. Changing it for the dynamic fuel valve at least means you get a bit more cap stability, and you're not taking the battleship time to align and warp in between things. So we may see more destroyers in use because of this. And then they've increased the health points of haulers by 60%. Well, that's going to be a huge change. Firstly, it's going to change. I don't think it'll change the length of how much each match lasts, because I think they're time capped anyway. And if you notice, if you destroy the haulers really quickly, there's a long period of time between the next one and spawn. So I don't think that's going to change. But it does mean that now this opens up huge opportunities for stealing kills from haulers from the other team, i.e. getting in there late, firing off a couple of volleys and stealing it by getting the last DPS on the hauler. It also is going to increase the strategic and tactical requirements of each match. My last video went over some tactics and some things to think about in terms of faction war games, and really thinking about it in almost like a resource management in when and where your ships are available. And as we don't have great communication, it's very difficult to achieve consistently within them. But this is going to, I think, have an enormous impact on the faction war games, because the control of if you can dominate by knocking out the players and then spawning back in, jumping back into your fleet and knocking them out, you have control of the battlefield and have a good chance of taking down the haulers. Equally, this now means that teams that fall behind early can have a better chance of getting back in. They have that chance to sneak in and get that kill. They have a sneak in to get themselves back into the game. Whereas if you were 2 haulers down, it was enormously difficult to bring it back. Not impossible, but enormously difficult to bring it back. So I think those are some really, I think they're good changes to the faction war games, and I think they're overall going to change what's going to happen in them. Ultimately, I would like to see fleet added. I think I'd also like to see ultimately a league added to faction war games so that effectively fleets can choose who they play in faction war games, and we can have some sort of league going, which would be, I think, be a really interesting, exciting addition to the game. But let me know what you think about that sort of thing. I don't think any of the big changes are happening. There's some regional delivery changes that make it a bit easier to move stuff across HiSec, and some fixes, but that's the main thing I was doing about this video. I think there's some big changes. Check out my video on the tactics to give you some idea uh, as to what the impact these are going to have, and then I'll probably make another video dealing with the changes that when they come into place. But thanks for watching as always.